So President William Ruto has unveiled a three-phased approach in addressing the high cost of living, terming the cost of food and its production as the biggest driver of the high cost of living. The president lifted a suspension on maize importation, announcing that the government will now import 10 million bags of assorted foods to bridge the production deficit. Chemutai Goin has more.
As Kenya marked 59 years since attaining self-rule, President William Ruto in his address to the nation acknowledged that the cost of living was an issue giving his administration sleepless nights and that intervention measures have been instituted to cushion Kenyans.
One of the biggest and notorious challenge is the challenge of high cost of living. And it is imperative that we have a clear plan. And I want to tell the people of Kenya, this high cost of living, we are tackling it in three phases.
With the government having diagnosed food supply and its cost as the main driver of the high cost of living, President Ruto used the 59th Jamhuri Day celebrations to take stock of his government's achievements so far.
Our first agenda when we came into office is to ensure that we encourage farmers to access affordable fertilizer, and that is why we reduced fertilizer from 7,000 shillings to 3,500 so that we can enable our farmers to be able to enhance their productivity in our journey towards making food affordable in our republic.
Despite the controversy surrounding the call to import maize from overseas, local farmers fearing they will run into losses if the maize floods the market, it appeared the matter had been swept under the rug and that the government was going ahead with its plans.
We are going to import 10 million bags of different assorted types of food, including maize, so that we can close the gap temporarily because of the harvest that was limited in this year's agricultural season occasioned by climate change and failure of rain.
A partnership between the government and the private sector players has already yielded fruits, with 6 million bags of subsidized fertilizer expected to boost government efforts to ensure farmers access cheap farm inputs, thereby lowering the cost of production.
Already 2 million bags have arrived in the country and 4 million bags are on the way. And I want to assure our farmers that we are going to stand with them to make sure that government provides adequate seed and adequate subsidized fertilizer to make sure that our productivity is enhanced so that we can produce enough food and reduce the challenges of the high cost of living.
To move away from over-reliance on rain-fed farming, the government is adopting irrigation as an option. The government has already identified 100 dams across the country, which through them, land under irrigation will double from the current 670 acres to 3 million acres. As the clock ticks on President William Ruto's 100-day promise, which includes bringing down the cost of living, he continued giving the assurance that his administration had put in place interventions that will ensure by next year, Kenyans will begin to feel a lesser pinch of the rising cost. Chemutai Goin, Citizen TV at the Nyayo National Stadium, Nairobi.